Hi, Katie. It's good to have you on the show.
Hi,
You
good
excited
to
to
be
be here?
here. So excited. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. We've been friends for a while now. As a matter of fact, we used to work together.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're excited to be on the show and you have a story that you would like to share with us. So why don't you tell me in your own words what happened to you?
Okay. So this was probably back in 2008. I was working in a theater in Waco, and we all kind of know theaters all have their own little stories to them. Like
Right.
everyone goes there. I mean, it's a place. And so I was in the theater by myself. I had gone over, we had moved practice to a high school that was right behind the theater. And they were all rehearsing, but we ran out of scripts because we had all the extras there that night. And so I ran back to the theater to go make copies of scripts for everybody.
Okay.
So there's a front door and then there's the back door. So I had parked around back and I was going through the back door, and the back door opens into the scene shop, and it's completely pitch black. The light switches on the other side of the room. So generally if no one forgot to leave the ghost light on stage, because the stage is on right on the other side of the shop.
Okay.
And so if no one put the ghost light on because we hadn't been there, then it's pitch black. You can't see anything, and there's tables everywhere and
Nothing
stuff.
like
So
walking through a dark, creepy room on your own, right? That's the best.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, best thing ever. So I left the door propped open so I could walk to the other side, but I saw that they left the ghost light on. So I'm like, cool, I can see my way through here, because I'm trying to get onto the other side of the stage, which there's the green room. The green room is split. So the stage is here. You have a door here to go to the boys' room, and then you have a door here to go to the girls' room. And then that front door also goes into the lobby. So I was going into the girls' green room because that's where our photocopy machine is, because why not?
Right. Why not?
Because it was also an office. And so I didn't know anybody was there. And I'm walking across the stage into the room, and all of a sudden, Chris, who was our costume designer, walked out of the room at the same time I did, and we scared the crap out of each other. And we're like, oh my God, I didn't know you were here. And he's like, I didn't know you were here. And I was like, ah. So laughed about it. Well, he left. And so I'm in the green room. And the green room, of course, if no one's ever been into one, this one the room is kind of an L shape. So the door is behind you. You have mirrors along this wall and then mirrors along this wall. And the copier is right here. So you
kind of see all around yourself.
You see all the way around. Like behind you, wall, door, mirrors in front.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm making copies. I'm making my stacks. Well, all of a sudden I hear footsteps coming across the stage, and I hear the keys jingling. Like I hear the footsteps and I hear keys jingling.
And at this point, are you afraid, or are you thinking it's Chris, or what are you thinking?
No, I'm thinking it's Chris. I'm thinking he's kind of coming back at me to try to scare me, to get back at me, because he blames me for scaring him. And I'm like, dude, I really didn't know you were here. Yeah. Like, I swear I did not scare you on purpose. Like, honestly, I didn't know. And so I think he's coming back to come try to get me back, or someone else is coming to get me or come to do something else. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. Well, no one ever walks into the room, and my room is the only room in the whole building that has lights on. So I'm like, if someone's here, someone's going to see the light on and come either investigate to turn it off, or come say hi, or do their business. Yeah. Something. No one ever shows up. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of just peek my head out the door, and I'm looking towards the stage, and there's nobody there. Look to the other way, out to the lobby. No one's there. So I'm like, okay. So I just go back in, and I keep making my copies. And then I grabbed the copies. I was laying them down in piles, and I placed it in a pile. And as I start glancing up in the mirror behind me in the doorway, I see this black shadow figure go across the door.
Nice. And so, like, at that point, did all the hair on your arms and your neck and everything stand up?
Oh, yeah. To this day, I tell that story, and all of it just stands up. Like, I just sit there, look, and I just whipped around, and I looked, and I didn't see anything. Sure. And I was just like, what the heck? I mean, it was a person's silhouette. Like, I saw shoulders, head, shoulders, like arms. Like
Uh-huh.
it was a black silhouette of I would say a man.
Yeah, well, and
And
I think people don't understand when you tell these stories that it's not just oh, I saw something. For most people, it's a visceral reaction. Like you see it and it makes you creeped out. It's not like, oh, well, I saw it and it was not a big deal. I mean, occasionally that happens, but for most people, when they tell these stories, they're like, as soon as I saw it, like all my bells went off. They were like, something's wrong here. Something's wrong.
yeah, no, the hair on the back of my neck stood up on my arm, and I just like whipped around and looked at the door, and I was like, Chris. I was like, Chris, is that you? And like, no one answered me, no one did nothing, and I'm just like, all right, I'm done. Like, it's time to wrap it up. So, because I peeked back out the door, and there's again no one's there, and I'm just like, oh. And so I was thinking, so this theater, it's no other people have stories from here, from this place. I don't know if you want me to say who it is, where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it matters if people know of the theater. It's a public place. I don't think it hurts anything to say the name.
It is. So it's the Waco Civic Theater.
Okay.
Off of Lake Air, and so there's always stories going around about this place about the owner who used to have it. I was like, he died. And so
Okay.
people have talked about seeing him or hearing him like I did because he always used to carry those keys.
The
So,
jingly
and
keys.
so
Got it.
that's how, so other people who are there who have told me stories, they're like, oh, if you ever hear it, they're like, don't be scared if you hear the keys. Be like, that's just him. He's here. He's checking on the place. He goes, that's what he does. This was his baby.
Okay.
This was his. And I was like, okay. So, I mean, so I really wasn't creeped out because I kind of had an idea. I was like, okay, well, I'm like, if it is somebody, and I'm like, I did hear the footsteps and I did hear the keys. So I'm
Right.
like, it's him. I mean, it could be him. And he's just walking the grounds,
Sure.
just checking on everything. But yeah, no, I kind of just packed up my stuff, got finished, and I left because I was done,
And is
especially
that it?
being by myself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and did anything else weird happen the rest of that night, or that was it? That was the only time you saw something like that while you were working there?
That was it for that night. There was another night that we were actually everyone there. Like it was a packed house. We were getting ready to do previews.
Okay.
So there was the kids everywhere. So this was during the summer. So it was the kids theater camp.
Okay.
And so all the kids are down. So the costume room is upstairs. Inside the shop, there's a ladder that goes straight up, and the costume room is up there. And then there's a rail or a walkway that goes around into the shop that goes out through a little door, and it wraps around the top of the theater in the back because the booth is upstairs in the theater. So you can't get to the booth from inside, but you have to go through the costume shop to get up into the booth. And so I had been just up in the booth and making sure all the lights and everything was ready to go. Everyone was getting on stage, and I'm walked back, and I'm just hanging out upstairs on the railing, overlooking everything, making sure, people are running around here and there. Well, behind me in the costume shop, all of a sudden, I just hear that it's, to me, this is the easiest way I can explain it. It sounds like, when you hear a metal hanger go all across a hook, it scratches.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like someone was going through costumes in the shop behind me. Like the hangers were just sliding across the
So that
rail.
little like
Yes.
sound. Yes.
And so that's what I kept hearing behind me. And I'm like, the kids better not be in there. I'm like, they need to be downstairs. I'm like, no one should be in here. So I go in there to look, to be like, hey, what are you doing? Because again, I was like, well, maybe it's Chris and he needs help, getting costumes for the kids and whatnot. So I walk in there and there's no one in there.
Nice.
I walked through every single row. There's nothing. And so I'm just like, okay. Well, so I just walked right back out, and I'm just like, whoever is in there getting stuff, I was like, hope you find what you're looking for. I was like, we're trying to put on a show right now. We don't need this.
Yeah, come on. You need a few more audience members.
Yeah, just a few. So yeah, so that's my other experience there. And then I had another one, but that one turned out to be fake, but it scared the living daylights out of me. Cause I don't know if you want me to tell it or not.
Sure.
So
it's good that you debunked it, though, right? You were looking for an explanation and you found it, or someone told you what was going on.
Oh yeah, no, found it. So again, so everyone broke for lunch. No one should have been in the theater. All the lights were off, or for dinner. And so I came back early and I opened the door. It's pitch black in there. And I can't remember if I was on the phone with somebody or I was about to walk in because the door was locked. So was punching in the key. So it's not like anybody could have walked in. The front doors are locked. The back door is locked. So I was punching in the passcode to open the door. And as soon as I open the door, I start walking in. And all of a sudden I just hear this little girl's voice going, "Don't you want to play with me?"
Oh, yeah, that's creepy.
I stopped dead in my tracks. I was like, hell no. And I walked right back out and slammed that door. I was like, no. We're not doing that. Yeah. And so whoever's on the phone with me was like, what just happened? I'm like, dude, you're not going to believe me. But I'm like, I swear to you, it's pitch black in this theater. I walked into the door and I just heard a little girl's voice ask, "Why don't you want to play with me?" And they were like, "What?" And they're like, "Get out of there." And I'm like, "I'm out." I'm like, yeah. I'm waiting until someone else comes here.
If you're waiting on me, you're backwards. I'm gone.
Yeah. I was like, someone else needs to come here with me because I'm not walking in there by myself, especially since the light switch is on the other side of the room and I cannot get to it. Well, it just turns out some of the kids did stay when they weren't supposed to. And so they were trying to talk to the ghost of the theater. And so it was one of the girls trying to talk to the ghost. And so that's who I heard. And I'm just like, girl, I was like, you scared the daylights out of me. I go, because all I did was walk into a pitch black theater and she was in the other room. And I go, I just heard your voice travel. And I'm just like, nope.
Yeah. No, I'm done. Thanks. I'm out.
Yep. Out. So done.
Nice.
Yeah, because they've all heard rumors about sometimes they see like a lady in white up in the booth that sits there and watches. And so they were trying.
Really common theme in theaters, like the lady in gray or the lady in white. I don't know why. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. And I know this place, I was like, I gave an interview to people who wrote a book about this place. So, I mean, this story is in one of their books. I don't remember what it was called. But, yeah, I mean, I think there's been teams that have investigated this place and whatnot. And
yeah.
So, I mean, people have stories. I'm like, I'm not the only one.
Well, that's so cool, though.
It is. It really is to be able to be like, yeah, dude, I was like, this happened. Like, no joke. So when other people tell me their story or if they happen at the theater, I'm like, I totally believe them. I'm like, 100%. I'm like, I don't know what you saw. I don't know who you saw. I'm like, but I believe you.
One, is that the only place you've ever experienced anything odd like that? Or have you had experiences other places? Or even better yet, here's a better question. Would you say that before those experiences at the theater, you were more of a believer or a non-believer, and how did that change your perception?
I mean, I think I've always kind of believed in it. I'm like, I'm not one of those, like, I have to see it to believe it. I'm like, I always think it's a possibility, whether I see it or not. I mean, there's tons of things we don't know or experience, and we just don't know because we just don't have that knowledge. Doesn't mean it's not real.
I agree. That's what when I tell people about this, it's not like I'm not screaming at the top of my lungs, ghosts are real. I'm saying that people experience weird things all the time and we can't explain them. So could it be ghosts? Sure. Could be ghosts. Could be something else. I don't know what it is.
Right.
But that's why I want to go investigate it. That's why I want to talk to people about their experiences. The more we know, the better, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I'm like, say we know 90% of things, but that 10% we don't know about, well, that's in that 10%. Like, you can't just dismiss it because you don't know about it. Like,
exactly.
I mean, we don't know. So, I mean, no, and not necessarily. I feel like after that, I was more prone, I guess, for noticing kind of stuff.
So you were more on the lookout, like you were more aware.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I was just like, I guess ever since that, I just like kind of get more feelings and more vibes. Like if I'm at a place, you kind of like the energy or something, it just feels different or feels a little off. Where before I would never noticed it, or I would have chalked it up to be like, oh, it's whatever. But then experiencing that, it's just like, oh, well, that's what that kind of, I guess, energy kind of feels like. So if you feel it again, you're like, oh, well, I don't know exactly, something might not happen, but, it'd be like, oh, might be something around.
That's one of my things too. No, I agree with you because I tell people all the time, I'm like, sometimes you walk up to a place and you're just like, okay, something weird's here.
Yeah, you just get
I don't know what it is, but yeah, all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, the hair on my arms just stood up.
Right.
something
And
something funky's going on here.
yeah, and it's not a feeling that you can really explain. It's kind of just like you have to experience it for yourself, really. Like if you've never experienced that feeling, I'm like, I can't really describe it to you. It's just one of those things that you're just like, you either know or you don't.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you 100%. That's exactly the way I feel too. So I'll share one minor story of myself with you, just so you have something fun to laugh at me about. So you're probably not old enough to remember. You're a little bit younger than I am, but there was a movie called White Noise that came out. I don't remember the exact year, but I think it starred Michael Keaton. Do you remember that movie?
I think I know of it. I don't know if I've ever seen it though, but it sounds familiar.
Well, it was a little more. It was interesting topic. They took it a little too far because, like, if you knew about the white noise, the ghosts came after you or something like that. Anyway, it was real weird, but it was very much based around the phenomenon of EVPs. Do you know what EVPs are?
Yes.
Okay, so the whole premise of the movie was that he was searching for EVPs, and when he found things, bad things happened to him. So that movie had just come out, and me and a bunch of friends had gone to see it. Well, at the time, I was working in a major retail chain as a key carrier. And kind of like you, one of the things we had to do at the end of the night was lock up the store. So everyone else would go to the front of the store, and the key carrier had to go to the back of the store by themselves in the dark, or not in the dark to the back. But once they got to the back, they would check the safe and stuff, then turn out all the lights. And they had to walk back to the front of the store in the dark. So go back to the back, and this is back in the day when everybody carried a flip phone, right? So I'm dating myself here a little bit. I had my flip phone, and I noticed I had a voicemail, and so I'm checking the safe, making sure it's locked, and I'm turning out the lights, and I'm listening to the voicemail prompts, which really haven't changed that much. And it's like, listen to your next message, press 7 or whatever. So I had just turned out the lights, and I had the flip phone to my ear, and I turn around to start walking towards the store, and I'm walking basically in the pitch black. I can see the people at the front of the store, underneath the little, like basically the street lights that are out in front of the store. I can see them silhouetted through the thing. And it's my dad on the voicemail. And he's talking to me about something, about dinner the next day or something. Because at that time, he and I lived basically next door to each other. And we were real close. And so he's like, yeah, I want you to come over tomorrow. We're going to have this and this. And right over the top of him talking, someone goes, F you, like in the creepiest ghostly voice you can possibly imagine. And he's just talking oblivious underneath this phone call. And of course, like we're talking about, it happened instantly, like all the hair on my arms, like even now I'm talking about it, the hair on my arms is standing up because there's just no feeling like that feeling. It's like, even now, like I said, it's creeping me out just talking about it, but instantly, that's not human.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't acknowledge it, so it's not like he heard it. And so I take it out and I let all my friends listen to it, out at the front, and they're like, holy crap, that's the creepiest thing ever. And I'm like, I know. And we had just watched the movie White Noise, and they were like, oh no, this is what they're talking about in that stupid movie. So anyway,
it's coming for you.
Yeah, of course I got teased about that for a long time after that because of that movie. But I just thought you might enjoy a story of your own to laugh at me about. And for real, if you're down to do some investigating next time we go, I'll reach out and see if you're interested in going.
All right. That sounds like a plan.
Well, Katie, it's been awesome having you on the show. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and hang out with us on It Happened to Me.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.